Hey guys, my name is Jamie and I'm a marketing manager for cultural care here in Boston. Welcome to this month's Ambassador Development Series, Finding a Work-Life Balance, what you can do outside of work to increase your productivity and overall happiness. When I was first asked to do this presentation, I wasn't sure what topic to do, but I was really excited for this opportunity because I very much relate to you guys as au pairs. I'm a 24-year-old woman in my first job out of university, meaning you and I are roughly the same age and our lives here have just changed drastically from the way things used to be. Except I'll admit that what you guys are doing, being an au pair and moving across the world, is a much bigger leap than what I did, starting a job in the same city I went to school. Regardless, I tried to think about what I would want to know if I were in your shoes, and what I actually did want to know when I started my job a little over a year ago, and the answer was happiness. I wanted to know exactly what I needed to do in order to be happy, especially as my life and schedule were changing so quickly around me. At first, I thought I just needed to give my job 100%, and that would be it. If I was at my dream job and I was doing what I was asked to do well, I figured I'd be happy, right? Well, it turns out feeling fulfilled in life is only partly about the actual work. A lot of it, I've come to realize, has to do with what you're doing outside of work, which is what I want to focus on today. I recently stumbled across this short article titled, "Science Knows You Need to Get a Life Outside of Work. This is How You Do It." And this particular quote stood out to me. This might surprise the workaholics, but a life outside of work helps you become more successful and productive in your professional life. Taking a breather from work reduces stress, clears your head, and re-energizes you. Spending time with people, traveling, and learning something new can help you bring new perspectives to your work, boost your creativity, and develop new skills. So not only will life outside of your work help your stress levels and happiness, but this article is saying pursuing certain activities outside of work can actually cause you to perform better within work, which I think is awesome. So what is my presentation going to be about today? The great part about the US Au Pair program is that it has what other jobs in the USA don't always: regulations regarding the amount of time you can work and requirements for your time off. So in your case, I figured what would be most helpful would be not to tell you how to balance the amount of time you spend on work, but rather to give you tips on what you can do with your time outside of work in order to maximize your happiness and increase your performance when you're back on duty. So for starters, what can you do? There are so many things that people say help improve the happiness and quality of life: good sleep, meditation, exercise, connection with others, etc. Today I'm going to focus on exercise because I've identified it as something that I personally need in order to function. But if exercise doesn't speak to you, I highly encourage you to choose a different focus from this list or from your own brain and go through the following slides with that activity in mind. If you do have a hard time coming up with something, however, I do suggest trying exercise. Because when I say exercise, I mean physical fitness, which can have different definitions for each person. In most people's cases, it's not running a marathon or being a bodybuilder. It's merely getting your heart rate up and your body moving and sweating, which will vary from person to person. I wanted to take a quick moment now to talk about why exercise is so great and how it can actually improve your mood and productivity at work. For me, knowing the benefits of exercise helps me understand what I'm working towards and really helps me as I try to incorporate it into my routine. I highly encourage you all to, after picking a focus, research the benefits and really try to understand how that can help you in your job. Even if you think you know the advantages, you might be surprised by what you discover. So why is exercising good, and what exactly does it help? First, exercise helps increase your alertness and energy. In many jobs this is useful, but for an au pair, I think this is extremely helpful. Many host kids, as you know, are often high energy, so a heightened level of alertness on duty is great and something that host parents really appreciate. Second, exercise helps boost your physical health. It increases your stamina, making physical tasks like running around with your host kids a lot easier. Regular exercise also boosts your immune system, which means less days of being sick. Finally, exercise helps your mental health. Exercising causes your brain to release a neurotransmitter called serotonin, which triggers happier feelings and mood. Exercise can also decrease levels of stress, which can lead to less feelings of unhappiness and less conflicts with your host family, with friends, or anyone else around you. Once you start actually doing this activity, you can begin to see the side effects firsthand. I personally started realizing that the days I feel the most grumpy or irritable are often the days that I haven't worked out in a while, and that on the days I work out the most, I feel the most refreshed and happy. If I find myself getting stressed or upset, I really try to make sure I sweat before I make any rash decisions. Knowing the benefits of your given focus can really help you understand your own mood swings and help you in these moments of stress. Okay, so now I've convinced you. Exercise is great, so why don't I just do it? The problem is, and maybe some of you can relate to this, is that I hate working out. I also need social interaction and to spend quality time with my friends, so when my work day ends at 5:30 and I get home at 6 p.m., I only have about 4 hours to do everything I want and need to do before I have to start heading to bed. In those 4 hours, I need to worry about eating, exercising, running errands, and going grocery shopping, and seeing all the people I wanted to see. So once you add in the commute times to all of these things, since I don't have a car in Boston, you can really guess what ends up dropping off my list. The thing I dislike the most, exercising. So how can you achieve that balance of getting everything that you want to done while also making sure your personal wellness and your focus stay at the front of your mind? I would like to share a couple of tips now that have helped me throughout. So the first tip is make it fun. This is probably the most important tip if you don't like to exercise naturally, like I don't. My advice is to trick yourself by pairing it with something else. If you like to dance, maybe do Zumba. If you're competitive, look into joining a sports team. If you like the outdoors, go on a hike. I've also found some activities that are what I like to call sneaky workouts. Before COVID-19, I used to go to a rock climbing gym with my friends from work, and I also played on a local rugby team. Both of these were great ways to build strength and to get me to sweat without feeling the dread that I felt from walking into a gym. Now that COVID's in the USA, I've had to be a little bit more creative, but I've been sticking to outdoor sports with no contact like tennis and tossing a frisbee with a friend. The best part about making exercise fun is that it often incorporates others, which has an added bonus and leads me to tip number 2. It combines activities, allowing you to get more done in the day. Think of it as killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You get to see your friends and you get your exercise in for the day. Don't always feel like you have to do this, but it does make a huge difference when you only have a couple hours and a lot of things to get done. For people who are more introverted or like to work out on their own, you can combine exercise with a solo activity, such as planning a short run that ends at the grocery store if you need to get food for the day, or listening to an audiobook while walking. As an au pair, you have the opportunity to bring your focus into your workday when appropriate, which I think is awesome. So if your host kids like to be active, you can definitely plan bike rides or walks or trips to the park with them. Obviously, though, when you are on duty, work comes first. So if the exercise is not appropriate for your host kids' age groups or interests, do not force it, because you can always combine your off-duty activities like I've already described. Next is find a community that will hold you accountable. Especially when you're trying something new, it's nice to have people to encourage you and hold you to your word. You can find these groups both within your cultural care community and outside of it. So within cultural care, you can find au pairs in your LCC group that will hold you accountable or even do activities with them. You can post in the ambassador group or other au pair groups to find people with similar interests and goals. And don't forget about your host family. Share your goals with them so that they can support you. Oftentimes they will have great ideas for resources and how you can achieve your goals. Outside of cultural care, you can join a sports team if that's what you're interested in. I joined a Boston women's rugby team and actually met an au pair through it. She is from South Africa and played rugby in her home country and really wanted to use the sport as a way to meet other people in the Boston area. If you don't want to do a sport, that's okay too. You can definitely join a studio that offers classes such as cycling, yoga, or other forms of exercise. Many of these studios, or even the individual instructors, have offered COVID workouts, which have been really great during this time. If you want more variety, you can sign up for an app like ClassPass, which will allow you to attend a variety of different gyms and studios per month. They often have free trials, which are really great to take advantage of. The best part that I thought was that if you sign up for a class and then miss it, you have to pay additional money, which is a really great way of holding people accountable and making sure you show up to class. There were so many times where I woke up and really was not excited to go to the studio for that class, but I didn't want to pay any extra money, so I dragged myself there and I was really, really grateful that I did. If you want a virtual community, I know many people who have had success with apps like Strava, which can track your solo runs and bike rides, or even finding virtual Facebook groups, which can offer helpful recommendations or give access to a community of other people working toward the same goals as you. I know that there are so many more apps outside of these that I just listed, so I really encourage you to share them in the comments below so that we can get this community up and running. Another thing I found particularly helpful is to start with something small and manageable before ramping up. For example, when I decided to start committing to working out, my first goal was to walk into the gym every single day, put on my clothes, and just do something. Sometimes it was a very short workout, sometimes it was longer, but I didn't measure my success by how much I got done, but rather just by the fact that I showed up. I found that this routine-related goal was way more helpful than any other goal I had set for myself in the past. Because once something becomes part of your routine, you don't even think twice about doing it. And similar to your workday, you can start planning other activities around it. When you are setting goals, make sure they are SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. If you're struggling to come up with them yourself, you can definitely turn to your community or Google for help. There's a lot of stuff out there about setting SMART goals, and I really encourage you to check them out. Finally, once you set these goals, allow yourself the satisfaction of checking the box. For me, a sense of achievement and progress is absolutely crucial in order to work toward my goals. Whether it's making a to-do list or getting more creative, I love visually seeing my progress. So the image to the right here is actually a tracker my friend from university designed. It has a box for every day of the year, and you can use it to measure anything you want. You can see she chose to use green for every time she worked out using her particular program, and gray to measure any other forms of exercise. In this way, she was able to keep track of her progress and identify trends that she may not have caught if she didn't put it on paper. A quick Google search will give you many different types of trackers, and so I encourage you to pick the one that makes the most sense for you. If you're feeling creative, or if you don't feel like there is one out there that will help measure your progress in the best way, you can always design your own, which is also something that's really fun. So there you have it, 5 tips on how to incorporate something like exercise into your overall daily life. The goal of this short presentation was for you to start thinking about your time off duty and what you can do during it to improve your happiness and productivity at work. We learned that exercise can increase your energy levels as well as your physical and mental health. We then focused on tips for how to incorporate something like exercise into your already very busy schedule. So I want to close with the following metaphor. When flight attendants give their routine safety announcements, what do they say? They say, "In the case of unexpected cabin pressure, oxygen masks may fall from the ceiling. Please secure your mask before helping others." Help yourself first. It feels weird and even selfish to say that, but it's so important. How can you be a good son or daughter, a good friend, a good partner to others if you aren't taking care of yourself first? Same with your job. The work you are doing as an au pair is so important, but how can you expect to take care of your host kids if you don't take care of yourself first? Now, I want to be clear. I am not saying that you shouldn't do your job. I'm just saying that in order to set yourself up for success, focus some of your time off duty to invest in yourself and improve your own happiness levels, in the same way that makes the most sense for you. Be transparent with your host family, as they have the potential to be your biggest cheerleaders and support system here in the United States. So to close, I'm assigning you all a homework project to get started. Take out a piece of paper, a physical sheet of paper is best, and do the following exercise. First, pick your focus. Then research the benefits and why those benefits are good for your particular job as an au pair. Next, brainstorm a couple ways to get started, whether it be coming up with your first activity, finding your community, or setting up that tracker. And finally, set your first goal, and make sure you tell someone to hold you accountable. In this video, I've shared a lot of advice that has worked for me, but I know that there are more tips, more apps, communities, and areas of focus out there to be shared. If one particular thing I said really spoke to you, or if you feel like I missed something, please drop it in the comments below. After all, the goal is to, as a community, build each other up and help each other find the strategies and resources that they will personally help them succeed. Thank you so much.